Hi, it's Tracy, CEO of My Practice, My Business, and I again get to take over the podcast for My Practice, My Business, as well as the YouTube channel. Rob usually does this, and again, there are certain things that I just get so excited about and frustrated about that I want to share. So today we're going to talk about Dentrix versus Vyne. Who owns your data? And we'll start our podcast and YouTube show right there.
Welcome, all of you fantastic dental podcast listeners, to the My Practice, My Business Dental Podcast Show, where we help dentists profit and thrive with excerpts from the clinical business of dentistry training here at My Practice, My Business. We'll be addressing and answering questions with current trends dentists and their teams face each and every day in their pursuit of this wonderful career we call dentistry.
So thank you everyone for joining us for this kind of special version of the podcast and YouTube channel, just because we want to talk about something that's been talked about quite a bit across social media. So the issue currently is Vyne, which does a lot of the claims processing, versus Dentrix, your practice management software. And I wanted to start by talking a little bit about what's going on and some of the things that are happening in social media and kind of dive deeper into what we know and what we plan on doing, because we actually do have Dentrix and Vyne in our dental practice. So ultimately, we found out about a month or so ago through social media that there was some type of discontent between Vyne and Dentrix. Now, Vyne was alluding that Dentrix was not allowing them to go through their API systems to pull data for claims processing, and the argument was for security reasons. I paused because both Rob and I, through our company, My Practice, My Business, we had a third party, and we still do, a software called My Dental Stats. And we did exactly what Vyne was doing. Now, when you decide to have a contract with these companies like EagleSoft, Shine, or EagleSoft, Dentrix, Open Dental, you're paying the company for the program. But the data itself belongs to the provider. And so our argument is always that the information is ours. If I go in and decide to work with a third party to analyze that data or to use it to help with claims processing in this case, this is where the practice management software should not be at risk. I enter in an agreement with a third party. I am assuming the risk. And it's the same with that other company. In this case, it would be Vyne. And so when a practice management software tells me that they're having issues with another company as a result of security, my immediate thought is there's a money grab here. So imagine this. You build systems to make your practice run smoother. You've invested in software that analyzes your data, speeds up your claims, makes life a lot easier for your team. And then suddenly you're locked out. Not because you did something wrong, but because a major practice management company decided that they wanted to control not just the software, but also your options. And that's the reality that many of us are facing with this conflict between Dentrix and Vyne. So to talk a little bit about our history and why we are concerned. Again, we had dental stats, and we still do. And we used to pull data directly from Dentrix or EagleSoft into our analytics dashboards. Now, we loved dental stats because it gave information that really was just quick and to the point, easy to see, and you can move on with your day. This was a one-way pull. So we didn't put data in. We just pulled the basic data out. So the security claim that we could be putting some type of virus into the system never held water when they were trying to explain to us that they didn't want us to give us access to their system. So Dentrix and EagleSoft, which is really interesting, they both shut our system or our access down almost at the same time, citing security. But we were told that we needed to be more compliant with their system. In order to reach compliance, guess what we had to do? Pay a monthly fee of $85 per practice. So nothing that we would have done differently affected the security statement, but by paying them, we would have access. So rather than paying the additional $85 and forwarding it on to our clients, we pulled it directly from the clients. We didn't feel ethical about it. So my point with this is, if a doctor chooses that contract with a third party to use their own data, why should Dentrix control that relationship? The liability absolutely lies between the doctor and the vendor, not Dentrix. This isn't about protecting the doctors. It's about protecting Dentrix market power. I really believe that. So enter Vyne. About 4 years ago, we started using Vyne mainly because we were using Dentrix's clearinghouse, and we wouldn't get claims paid in a timely manner. And every time I reached out to an insurance company, which was very regularly, they would state that they didn't receive the claim. Now I would go into Dentrix and I would look at my claims history, and I could see that it was submitted, but I had no way of proving that the insurance company actually received it. And so it was frustrating from a front office team member's perspective to have a sure knowledge that I did everything right just to get the runaround from the insurance companies. So we suddenly switched to Vyne, where we have the ability to use our printer driver to pull the data. So instead of printing a claim physically and sending it, that data now goes through a printer driver into Vyne, and Vyne's able to interpret it and create a claim for us. Very easily was able to pop in, take a screenshot of these x-rays, intraoral photos, type a narrative, and boom, it's off. Now, Vyne was able to tell me if there were certain things that were needed to process a claim. They were able to tell me if an insurance company received all attachments needed, and even if they opened those attachments. So if an insurance company came to me and stated that they never received it, I was able to reference to an NEA attachment ID to show that they did in fact receive it. And it's funny how they are able to find it after I call them out. Now we're going to talk about the Change Healthcare issue that happened a couple of years ago, where there was a hacker that went into the system and exposed and pulled data they shouldn't have pulled in these systems, which caused insurance companies to not pay their claims because they shut everything down. And offices really struggled for quite a few months with no payments. During this time at our office, we had no issues. Vyne kept us running without interruptions. I got my claims paid. We had no pain as a result of this company. So because of our experience with Vyne, we are very loyal to the product, not because they paid us, but because our service works. And so when we found out that there was a potential of Vyne not working with Dentrix, now I have a problem. So from what I'm understanding, and yes, Vyne did a great job of alerting and informing their offices on what was happening, it looks as though Dentrix wants Vyne to pay a ransom-style access fee to keep working. Now, Vyne said that they offered to pay per practice, but Dentrix is the reason why they're stalling. Now, Vyne wants some information that Dentrix is saying that they don't have the ability to give them. And my goal is to hope that they come to an agreement, especially if Vyne is willing to pay per practice and continue forward with working together with Dentrix. But this is where practices are feeling the squeeze. And I'm noticing that Dentrix is now making subtle changes to our software to frustrate us and gear that frustration towards Vyne. Just yesterday, I had a team member trying to submit a claim, and instead of instant submittal, it was taking about 3 minutes. It's slowing things down. So delays are already starting. Frustration is mounting. When I reached out to Dentrix and told them how unhappy I was with it, I was told, well, Vyne will still work even after we give you multiple warnings and ask you to go back and work with us with our claim submissions. You can still work with them, but it's going to be more of a manual process. Now, great. What does that mean? I'm happy to do a little here and a little there to make this happen. But from what I can understand and see in the future, it looks like they're literally going to make us, Dentrix is going to make us go into the Vyne software and manually enter in the code, the description, the fee, the insurance company, the payer ID number, the address, all of that information manually. They know we're going to be frustrated with this, and it's going to cause us to think twice about our loyalty to Vyne. This is a classic strong arm tactic, and I don't appreciate it. Now, we've been with Dentrix for 30 years, but if they're going to start doing these types of things to control how we manage our practice, this is where a change will happen in our practice, and we'll tell everybody about it, hence this podcast. So, why does this matter? If Dentrix controls which clearinghouse you're allowed to use, then they control your autonomy. I'm all about patient autonomy, practice autonomy. And so if I'm in a position where I have to go one way or another, that doesn't work for me. This is no longer about efficiency. It's about being forced into their ecosystem, regardless of whether or not it's best for your practice. So this isn't innovation. This is coercion. What I feel is that here in the dental practice, we have choice. In our office, we are already exploring other practice management software, specifically Open Dental. We like that it's open source, more transparent, and it's less controlling. There are some features that we really love in Dentrix, and up until then, we've been telling all of our clients that Dentrix is really the best way to go. But at this point, it's all about principle. So if enough of us push back by refusing to be forced into this single clearinghouse, and yes, Dentrix, I will admit that there are other clearinghouses in your software, but either way, you're forcing me to make a choice. Dentrix is going to have to reconsider this. This is bigger than just one office or one clearinghouse. This is about who gets to decide how to run your practice, you or your software vendor. If we don't take a stand now, then Dentrix is going to keep tightening the screws. And so my message to Dentrix is simple. This is our data. This is our practice. This is our choice. And I, for one, refuse to give that up. What are you going to do in your practice, team members? How are you going to push back and stand your ground? That's my question for the day. I hope it helps with understanding the concept of what's going on behind the scenes. Yes, there's more to it. But with the information we have, I'm going to make a pretty strong decision in the next couple of weeks, depending on what we see in our practice and how it's affected. Thanks so much for visiting with us today. Hope it helps you understand the background again of what's happening. And if you do represent any of these two companies, please work together and help us out and make sure that we can continue to work well and streamline our practice to ensure profitability and ensure our autonomy in dental. Thanks again. Have a great day.
Thank you for being with us today. Since 2006, My Practice, My Business has been teaching dentists and their teams business skills, dental insurance contractual protocols, and state laws governing how to profitably bill patients fairly for the need-based services they provide. What's more, we guarantee our training, unlike other dental consulting companies in the industry. Simply stated, if you don't increase your net revenue, we don't get paid. We call it dental consulting the way it should be. We believe there's never been a more important time than now for dentists to experience and implement our key methods, knowledge, and business training within their dental practices. To learn more about our guaranteed, no-risk clinical business of dentistry training that is changing dental practices for the better, just go to our website, mypracticemybusiness.com, and surf our pages for additional information about our company and the services we provide. When you're ready, give us a call and get scheduled for the most profitable dental business training that you will ever experience. If you enjoyed our podcast, please leave us a 5-star review. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to call us. Thank you again and have a fantastic day.